Two people spill coffee on themselves before a big meeting. One spends the whole day replaying it. Embarrassed. Convinced people think they're a mess. It ruins their focus for hours. The other one laughs, grabs a paper towel, and walks into the meeting like nothing happened. Completely unbothered. Same spill. Same stain. Completely different lives from that moment on. Why? It's not confidence. It's not personality. It's something deeper, something your brain is doing in the background every single moment of every single day, and you've never been taught to notice it. That's what this video is about. Before we get into it, let me show you why this actually matters. Researchers studied married couples and found that the ones who used a specific pattern of explaining each other's behavior were significantly more likely to report deep dissatisfaction and consider leaving the relationship. Fincham and Bradbury, 1992, not the couples who fought the most. The couples who explained things a certain way. Studies in clinical settings show that doctors who make a particular type of mental attribution about a patient's condition are more likely to narrow their treatment options early before exploring alternatives. Attribution and clinical decision research, same patient. A different story in the doctor's head. And students, this one is wild. Students who made a single small shift in how they explained failure to themselves went on to outperform students with higher test scores. Dweck and Leggett, 1988, not because they got smarter. Because they changed one word in the story they told themselves. This is called attribution theory. And it's been shaping your relationships, your work, and your own self-image every single day. You just didn't have a name for it yet. By the end of this video, you're going to realize you've been misreading people and yourself your whole life. Not because you're wrong or broken. Because nobody ever explained to you how your brain actually assigns blame and credit. Let's find out what your brain has been doing behind your back. The word attribution just means the cause you assign to something that happens. A psychologist named Fritz Heider spent years studying a surprisingly simple question: when something happens, how does your brain decide why it happened? Who's responsible? What caused it? Think of your brain as a detective. The moment anything happens, someone's rude to you, you fail a test, your friend is quiet today, your brain doesn't just experience it and move on. It immediately starts building a case. It gathers clues, picks a suspect, and files away a verdict. Usually within seconds. That verdict is your attribution. Your friend doesn't text you back for 2 days. Your brain doesn't sit there quietly. It starts explaining. Maybe they're swamped. Maybe they're upset with me. Maybe something happened. Maybe they just don't care anymore. The explanation you land on, that's your attribution. And it will determine whether you feel fine, anxious, angry, or hurt. Same silence. Completely different emotional reality depending on one thing: the story your brain chose. That's how powerful this is. Now let's look at the types, because this is where things get genuinely uncomfortable. Types. Type 1, internal attribution. Internal attribution means you explain someone's behavior based on who they are. Their character, their choices, their personality. Your coworker is late to the meeting. You think, he's just irresponsible. You're pointing the explanation inward at the person. That's internal attribution. Type 2, external attribution. External attribution means you explain behavior based on circumstances outside the person. The situation, bad timing, forces they couldn't control. Same coworker is late. But now you think, traffic must have been brutal today. You're pointing outward at the world. That's external attribution. Both explanations could be true. The question is which one your brain picks and why it almost always picks the same one for other people versus yourself. Type 3. The Fundamental Attribution Error. This is one of the most replicated findings in all of psychology. And it will make you cringe a little because you've done it today. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You immediately think, "What an idiot." You cut someone off. You think, "I was already late, I had no choice." Same action. Completely different story depending on whose side you're on. When other people mess up, we blame their character. When we mess up, we blame the situation. This isn't malicious. It's a built-in feature of how the brain works. We see other people's actions up close, but we always have access to our own context. The problem is it makes us systematically unfair. We judge others for being who they are, while excusing ourselves for what happened to us. Type 4. The self-serving bias. When something good happens, you take credit. I worked hard. I earned this. My instincts were right. When something bad happens, you find an external cause. The market shifted. The timing was off. I wasn't given a fair shot. Your brain is protecting your self-image. And in small doses, that's actually healthy. But here's the real consequence: people who overuse the self-serving bias stop learning from failure. If every setback is always someone else's fault or some outside force, you never update your behavior. You just get better at finding reasons. And that costs people relationships, careers, and years of repeating the same mistakes while genuinely believing they're the victim. Type 5. Stable versus unstable. A stable attribution means the cause is fixed. I failed because I'm just bad at math. Full stop. Permanent. Nothing to do. An unstable attribution means the cause can change. I failed because I didn't study enough this week. That's a different week. That's fixable. Same test. Same grade. The only difference is 4 words, and those 4 words determine whether you try again. Layer that with whether the cause was something you could actually control, and you get the most empowering frame possible. This happened because of something I did, something that can change, something I have power over. That's the difference between someone who fails and quits and someone who fails and figures it out. Remember the 2 people at the start? Same spill. Completely different days. Now you know what was actually different between them. It wasn't luck. It wasn't attitude. It was the attribution. The story each of them told in the half-second after it happened. One said, "This is me. This is what I am." People saw. The other said, "That was a situation. It's done. Moving on." You can't always control what happens. But you have more control over the story you build around it than you probably realize. So here's the one thing I actually want you to walk away with, and it's not a theory, it's a habit. Next time something goes wrong before your brain, that detective we talked about, finalizes its verdict, pause for just 1 second and ask yourself 2 questions. Am I seeing this person clearly, or am I just seeing the story my brain made in 0.3 seconds? And if this exact thing happened to me, am I giving myself options I'm not giving them? That pause is the whole thing. That's attribution theory working for you instead of on you. Alright, that's attribution theory, broken down like a friend explaining it over coffee. Hopefully without spilling it. If this shifted something for you, even a small thing, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this stuff reach people who could use it. And if you want more real psychology, the kind that actually makes sense of everyday life, subscribe. New video every week. No fluff. One question before you go: which type of attribution do you catch yourself making the most about others or about yourself? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and the answers are always more honest than people expect. See you in the next one.